And so for each of these problems, I'm going to like kind of try to present a solution, but try to walk through it in such a way that's like explaining how the solution is come up with, rather than just like straight present the solution. If you want explicit written solutions to the problems, all four of these problems should be on Art of Problem Solving. I think I've posted solutions to everything except the B4 because someone beat me to posting the good solution there. But the talk itself will be a little more fluid. Okay, so now I have to actually pick which one I want to start with. Which one do I want to do first? Let's do the coins, why not? Okay, so to explain the alphabet soup, come on, not now, alright. Okay, to explain the alphabet soup, PAGMO, I guess I should write out the expansion, is the Pan-American Girls Math Olympiad. It's a very new contest, 2021 was the very first year. And the problem goes, you have a bunch of coins numbered 1 through n, which you place around in a circle. And starting from the coin 1, what you do is you jump clockwise equal to the value of the coin you're standing on. So, starting from the coin 1. And you would like to find all values of n for which you can arrange the coins such that everyone gets visited. Evan, the screen is a bit blurry. Oh, I should do, okay, let me do an explicit share screen. Okay, let's see. Press that button. Right. I should probably do a native share screen. Let's see. Window projector. Preview. Okay, so that should go there. And okay, Chris, if I do that, is the screen still work? Like, am I still moving in the picture?
I don't see you moving.
You don't see me moving. Okay, so this actually needs to be on an active monitor. Crap. I'm gonna run out of monitor space. Okay, we'll just do this.
It works now, though. I can still moving.
Okay, yeah, it should, yeah. It's just, I have like 4 screens, and apparently that's not enough. It's kind of a mess. Okay, so let me just give it a quick example. So, here's like, well, when n equals 2, this is 1 and this is 2, so if I have a person that starts here, on the first move, they're going to go here. So this is the first, or I really should call this the 0th move because this is just where they start. It's before they do anything. And then this is the first step. And then after that, they just, because 2 is the entire thing, they kind of just go around and circle there the whole time. For a little more complicated example, oh jeez, already messed up. Sorry, these are supposed to be clockwise, not counterclockwise. No, this is clockwise, this is fine. Do y'all want me to put it with 2 on the left or 3 on the left? Okay, I got 3 on the left first, so let's do that. Okay, so here's my person starting out again. And so, this is on the first step, and then after that they go 2 steps clockwise. So they go back here, and they're back here for the second. So this is actually, this example, it does not work out for us, because we wanted one where every coin was visited, but our person is going to just move between this places 1 and 2 indefinitely, this coin is never used. Okay, so let me first make the point that I was making earlier about anytime you have, like, these problems that have find all like this will tend to be two-part problems, which means that there's really two things we're being asked to do. One is for certain values of n, I need to actually show there exists a valid arrangement of the coins, and for the remaining values of n, I need to show there does not exist a valid arrangement. And what's worse is that I don't even know which values of n are which at the start. I just have to eventually try to figure out like which values of n are the good ones and which values of n are the bad ones. And if I am confident I know which one is which, then I know like what two subparts I'm trying to do. So if we look at the examples that we have so far we see this n equals 2 is good. So n equals 2 is good because we already found a single example that worked. N equals 3, we tried one example and it didn't work. On the other hand, if you try the other example where it goes instead of 1, 2, 3, it goes 1, 3, 2. This example isn't actually any better because when this person starts here at time 0, after a single move, they end up here at the first step. And then what you're starting to notice really quickly is that whenever I, hit the coin that's numbered n, as soon as I hit the coin that's numbered n, nothing ever is going to happen because the person now goes a full length around and goes back here for the second step and the third step and so on. And so, in fact, let me highlight this in a slightly different color. So, n equals 2 we saw was good because we found there's only one example for one possible arrangement when n equals 2, and it was fine. For n equals 3, there's like 2 different arrangements, and none of them have the property that we want. So, we know this n equals 3 is bad for us. Yeah. And so, okay, someone in the chat already knows what's up. So this is sort of how we're getting started. It's like we don't even know which values of n are good or bad yet, but when we look at these examples, we do get like the numerical evidence that helps us get started, which is the, we now know 2 of the answers. For n equals 2 it's good, n equals 3 it's bad. But we're also starting to observe some things, like for example, we observed that this last coin, or that's not the last coin. Here, this one. And ostensibly this one as well. The last coin you hit must be n in order for you to have a chance of working. Because if you hit the coin n too early, you just get stuck there forever. And after you reach n, you have no possibility to visit anything else. So that's fine. So if our last coin has to be n, this sort of feeds us an observation, which is that our last coin has to be n, and so our journey must consist of starting from 1, hit every coin between 2, 3, and -1, in some order and land at the coin end and stay there forever. Okay, so if that's the case, when we get observations like this, we can try to see if they tell us anything about what our original goal is. So we wanted to try to like rule out some n, and if we know this is happening, what it gives us is that at least we can try to extract the total length of the journey. So yeah, some people can see what's up already. So consequently, the total length of the journey, journey, before hitting coin N ought to be exactly, so we don't know what order these coins in the middle are going to come in, but addition's commutative, so we can still at least get a total length. We know that we're going to take exactly 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus n minus 1 equals, I know, is this like, I never remember whether it's n minus 1, n minus 2, or n minus 1, n. I think it's n minus 1, n. Half n, n minus 1 steps. So to make that into a more concrete example so that people can follow, when n equals 2, you know, the journey takes 1 step before you get stuck. N equals 3, well, actually there's not much to see here for n equals 3 because there's no good examples at all. But when n equals 4, what it tells us is that whatever example we draw, if it's going to work, starting from 1, and I'll put like a blank, I don't like that. Let's leave it blank. So, I need to take like, I need to hit 1 and then either 2 or 3, the other one, and then reach 4. So, I need to take exactly 6 steps before I hit the coin 4, at which point I will be stuck at 4 forever. So, whatever happens, I need to, 4 has to be wherever is 6 steps away from here. So we can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if we want to have any chance of this working, we better put 4 over here. And so then that leaves the question, where should I be putting 2 and 3 if I want to try to get my example for n equals 4? Do I want like the 2 on the left or the 3 on the left? Yeah. So if I put 3 here, I'm gonna just die right away. But if I put a 3 here and the 2 here, that should be okay now, right? Because now I can go here, this is time 0, I get here at time 1, and then move all the way over here at time 2, and then here's the third step that I was promised, and then I, you know, at the end, oh crap, did I get cut off? I got cut off. I'm gonna, okay, we'll so that gives us an example where n equals 4 is good. And we can keep playing like this, right? Like, because we have a hint now, which is that we know where n is supposed to go, we can try to see where that takes us. So let's do n equals 5, and because I want to keep this all in the, at least the 2 to 3, yeah. I'm going to try to do n equals 5 down here. So here's 5, and then here's the coin 1. Boop, bang, boing, boing. And we want to, we have our same observation that 1 plus 2 plus dot 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 plus n minus 1 ought to tell us where the 5 point's supposed to go. So in this case, that sum is in 10 steps. And so we can count, okay, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so when n equals 5, yeah, something really bad happens, which is that when you count 10 steps, it's like the place where you started. So if we're like, the 5 point also has to be here, and that's not gonna work. Yeah, you just kind of die because you're like, oh, the 5 was supposed to be there, but that's where the 1 is. So this is actually bad, and it tells us right away this n equals 5, no good. And what you have to do when you see this is like, oh, okay, you know, I have like this foothold now, which is that for some values of n, the first observation that I had is already going to kill off these values of n. So then that begs the question, which values of n does this kill off? E.g., immediately kill the n equals 5 case. Right, so yeah, so to answer that, all you have to do is like, okay, well, when does n divide? We will be in trouble if 1 plus 2 plus dot 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 plus n minus 1 happens to be a multiple of n. That's what it means to be back where we started. So 1 plus 2 plus dot 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 plus n minus 1. And okay, maybe not everyone's seen divide, so I'll actually just write the word divide. Divide. 1 plus 2 plus dot 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 plus n minus 1. And as I said, this is equal to 1/2 times n minus 1 times n. So this is exactly when n minus 1 over 2 is an integer, which is n odd. Okay, so yeah, so what this tells us is in the things that we have to do, we've done this, let me do it this way. For all the odd values of n, we're done with that part of the problem. So we know for odd values of n that they're in this second case, and we have a proof of it, which is based on this one observation. And then the question is like, okay, well, for the even values of n, what's going on? And someone's already pointed out in the Zoom chat that if you do the same thing with even, you know, this will not be a multiple. In fact, it will be up by exactly n over 2 from the multiple. So if you want to try to build examples for even n, for the same reason that we put 4 opposite 1, in general, n will always be opposite 1. So let me make that concrete by doing n equals 6. Alright. Oh, let me... There we go. So for n equals 6, 1 plus 2 plus dot 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 plus 5 is equal to 15. So on a circle with 6 marks, 6 ought to be here, exactly opposite n. And the question is, can I can I get a valid construction the same way that I did for 2 and 4? So let's see, what do I want to do? Let's see, so well, 1's here, so we know that our person starting from time 0 ends up here after the first step. So if I put any number that's not 2 or 5, I still have a fighting chance, right? What do I want to use? Decisions. Let's try 4. I want to say 4 is the one that's in my notes. We'll find out real soon. So, okay. So if I do 4, then after... Okay, after 4 in... So I take 4 steps, I end up here. And now I need to pick a number that's not 4. Okay, that's fine, that's easy. And I want to pick a number that's not... Yeah. Okay, so, some people already figured out the construction. So, I don't have great advice on how to decide what to try besides, this is n equals 6, there's literally like, at most like 24 cases, so just like, spend 5, you can try to be smart about it, but I don't think it's worth it. Just like take 3 minutes of your life and like, try them all. Here's one that does work. Okay, I think this one will go through. So for 4, 3, 2, 5. Yeah, 4, 3, 2, 5 will work. There is one other one that works that someone else suggested in the Zoom chat already, which is 4, 3. Let's see, 5, 2. So here you go here. Okay, cool. So it's looking pretty good now because for all the odd end, we found an obstruction, and so far the lack of that obstruction seems to be the only thing that's been stopping us so far from getting examples. And now we know that n equals 6 is great. Okay, let me do one more example on this board, and then we'll try to figure out how we can get it just in the general case. So n equals 8 is, can we do it? So once again, like, for lack of any better ideas for now, I just gonna try some things and see what happens as I try them. As things get bigger, we might have to be smarter, but for these small numbers, it doesn't really matter because there's so few possible things to try. When eliminating the odds, so there's a question in the chat that says, when eliminating the odds, would it be by contradiction? And the answer is yes. That's exactly what we did. We said that assume for contradiction it works when n is odd. Notice that the total length of the journey must be like 1/2 and n minus 1. And this tells you that 1 and n occupy the same spot, contradiction. Doesn't the second case for 6 not work? Did I mess up? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh crap. 4, 3, 2, 5. Never mind. Yeah, you're right. Wait, I thought this was okay. 1, 4. Do I want like... Yeah, you're right. It just doesn't work. Okay, scratch that. Might be. Alright. Okay, that means I can move this a little up. Okay, alright. I have to pick something. So, the first number I pick has to be anything that's not 3 or 7. What did I do last time? Last time I picked 4. So 4 brought me to the left of 1. I guess I could try that again, right? If I want to go to here for my third step. So it's almost like rather than deciding what number to write, I decide where I want to go and see if I'm allowed to write the number, which I am. So here's 0th step, first step, second step. And what's a good number to pick? I think this will work. I'm also sure. Let's try it. I want to kind of do the same thing where in the previous example, what it would look like we did, we zigzagged from left to right. So if you look at the n equals 6, what we did is 1, 2, third. This third step was here. The fourth step was here. And, things were great. So can I just do that again? Is it gonna work? 3. So 4. I think this will work. Okay, we're in good shape. 5, 2, 7. Okay, and now we know what we're doing. Because if you look at this example, it's like, okay, if this worked for 6 and 8 like this, it should just work for all n. And in general, I can go for the gold now, and even 1, and what I'm going to do is say I have 3, 5, 7, up to n minus 1 here, and then 2, 4, up to n minus 2, n minus 4 here. And then this will do what I want. So this is n even. All n even is good. And this is, so this is it. We got, for the odd n, we have our contradiction argument that shows they're all impossible. For the even n, we found the example that shows they're all possible. And this is sort of typical of what like an Olympiad problem will look like in many different ways, which is at the start you literally don't have anything. You don't even know for every value of n whether you're trying to prove or disprove it. And gradually you try to like get little bits of leverage on it. It's almost like a chess game, in the sense that you don't try to kill the opponent right away, right? Because if you're playing an opponent that knows how to play chess, you can't check them in 4 moves. It doesn't happen. And instead, you just spend the time trying to get like little bit advantages wherever you can. Like here, what we did was we start by looking at these like very small values of n, and when you're a beginner at this kind of problem, the most obvious thing to go for is like just what the final answer is. Like, is it yes or no for that value of small n? As you start getting a little more mature with your experience, the things that you try to take away become a little bit more and more nuanced. Which is like, for example, if we go back to what we did at the start, it wasn't just that we got that 2 was good and 3 was bad. We also noticed this thing that the last coin had to be n. And that was really important for us because that's what told us, okay, if the last coin has to be n, and we know our journey looks exactly like this, then we can try to squeeze a little bit more out of it. So, it's true that superficially you could say like, if I make a list of good and bad numbers, then after I get up to 7 or 8, it'll be pretty glaringly obvious, if 2, 4, 6, 8 are good and 3, 5, 7 are bad. It gives you a pretty good guess what the answer might be. That is true. But what I do want to say is that the other softer things that you get out of it are going to matter more and more as you get more and more experienced. So not just that it's good or n is good or bad, but also the last coin had to be n. N equals 5 failed because it so happened that like 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 was divisible by 5, whereas it wasn't true for n equals 4. And you keep trying to take little bits like this while you can, until you can like, you're in this position where you can hit. There's a question for why the zigzag works, so I can try to... what's the best way to explain this? Here's 0th step. Here's the first step. So, what I want to say is like n minus 2, it will be easier if you think about it rather than n minus 2 clockwise as 2 counterclockwise, which is the same thing. So, this arrow here, I can draw it really like this, and say 2 steps counterclockwise. That'll be easier to think about. So this is where you are at the second step. And then you do 3 steps clockwise. So it's sort of rigged by... Oh crap. Yes, I need to scroll back. Yeah. The reason that the zigzag works is basically because the n minus 2 really means go 2 back. So if the instructions you get are go forward 1, go back 2, go 3, forward 3, go back 4, go forward 5, etc., you do get a zigzag. So the zigzag part is not the part that's impressive. The part that you're happy about is that you actually just end up using all the numbers exactly once. Because zigzagging is fine, you know, you obviously will hit every location exactly once. The magic of it is that when you look at the numbers that you wrote, you did actually write every red number exactly once, so this is a valid construction. Yeah. But, so, yeah. This is sort of like this is sort of like the poster example of like what this Olympiad solve process looks like. You don't try to solve a problem outright, because once you have problems this difficult, you usually cannot just kill a problem in one shot anymore. Sometimes you can. It does happen. I won't say it never happens, but it's much more common that you have to like slowly build small advantages and try to get a better and better understanding. You know, because you could see that as the whole time we were going through, we very gradually got better understanding of the solution. We didn't just like make a magic jump from one point to another. There are problems that do look like a magic jump, and those problems are really funny because when you show people the solution after the test, they get really mad at you. Okay, so I'll pause a moment for any other questions about this example before I like pick another one to do. Okay, there is one question that said, how many points would you get for just the answers if odds don't work and even do? What if you provided examples with a pattern? So this is a question about how grading on Olympiad works. And the most informative answer is you should here, I'll actually do it for you. So we have this thing, this is a web browser, and this is my website. Sorry, I do this a lot. So blah blah blah. So if you go to my website and look under the FAQ for the rules and search for the word grading, there's an FAQ that's like, how does this grading work? And the thing that surprises people the most about Olympiad grading when you first explain it to them is that most of the time your score is either 7 minus loose change or 0 plus like spare change. The intermediate scores 3 and 4 do not occur a lot. We usually say you either like basically solve the problem or you're missing at least one key idea. And depending on what country you're from, the standards for like how much loose change you get will vary a lot. If you're from the United States, loose change is very scarce. If you are from Sasha keeps telling me Ukraine is much more generous than the United States. I'll totally believe him because I think the United States is super strict. Actually, I think almost every other country is like more generous than the US. I'll just leave it there. But like for a problem like this, very often, we had the two parts of this problem, right? We had an even case and an odd case. You'll see a rubrics that just say 2 plus 2 equals 7, which means if you get half the problem, you get 2, like either half. If you get both parts, then you get 7. Yeah, and typically we only give partial credit for genuine progress. What that means is if you do a lot of cases, that's usually not worth something unless you can show something about why these cases might hold to the real case. So yes, just guessing the answer is often worth 0. There are cases where the answer is worth more than 0 when the answer is not obvious, but if it's an answer you could have gotten just by doing the first 6 cases and making an educated guess, that will typically not be worth any points. There's another question that goes, for the construction, would it be sufficient to just draw the diagram, or do you need to justify being a valid construction? This will, again, also depend on what country you're in. I would say the rule of thumb that you want to follow is that you need to write enough detail that someone who did not solve the problem could not plausibly write the same thing you did. because when you're a grader, every time that there's a detail that's missing, you either have to decide either the student didn't write it because they thought it was obvious, or they didn't write it because they didn't know how to do it and don't want us to realize. So I think for this specific thing, if I just saw the construction, I'd probably let it go, because when you look at this construction, it is actually pretty clear that why it works. I would be extremely surprised if someone like reached this construction and then after 20 minutes like still couldn't see why the construction was valid. So for this particular example, I would probably let it go. It's possible there are some other United States graders that are more strict than me, but I would say the majority of people would be okay with just seeing the example, because it is actually pretty clear why it works. We don't try to deduct points for not writing obvious things. We try to deduct points if you left something out and we're genuinely not sure whether you knew how to do it or not. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, Chris, can I get a check on how much time I have left? I don't know when you were planning to start the QA.
You have around 20 more minutes.
And I prepared 4 problems, okay. Yeah, what was I thinking? Okay, we'll do like 1 more problem, because the first problem apparently took 40 minutes. Okay, we should do the geometry then, because that one goes faster than the Putnam one. Okay, so earlier I was telling you about how the thing that typically happens in problems is you try to like build small advantages because you usually cannot outright kill the problem all at once. So now I'm going to show you a problem where you kind of try to outright kill it all at once. And this problem is from the Math Prize for Girls Olympiad 2022. So for those of you that don't know, Math Prize for Girls is it's an in-person competition that happens at MIT every fall for people who are there's a cutoff based on A and C score that tends to be higher than the AMY cutoff. And if you do that, if you come to MIT and then do well enough on that short answer test, then you get to take the Math Prize for Girls Olympiad. And this was problem 2 on that Olympiad, which goes, you want to show that there is a non-isosceles trapezoid such that both of the diagonals have lengths which are equal to sums of the 2 sides. Okay, there is a question that says, how do you determine if you want to one-hit KO a problem or gradually build advantages? The short, not helpful answer is get good. The slightly more helpful answer is, well, actually, I don't know if there is one. I will try to explain for the specific problem. I am not going to be able to give you a guideline that will just work perfectly for every problem, because starting from when you start doing Olympiad problems, you'll find that there are very few things that are always true. You know, you can get general heuristics and you can get like, you know, feelings in some, but I don't think anyone reaches the point where they have like, they can solve a problem, they can, you know, reliably always be given a problem and just always get it. There are people who have been pretty close to that. Not gonna name any names. I'm not one of them, just to be clear. But those people are extremely rare. Okay, but I will try to explain why you should believe you are able to one-hit kill this problem. The reason is this. First of all, how do I specify an isosceles trapezoid? So, oh crap, where's the trapezoid? Okay, here's an isosceles trapezoid. Yeah, so the way you can think about it is, isosceles trapezoids are, how many numbers do I need to give you before you can construct the rest of the trapezoid? It's like, you know, I can do something like, 4. I think the answer is 4 numbers. Let me tell you why. Forget these two sides. An isosceles trapezoid is built by two similar non-isosceles, not isosceles. A trapezoid is built by two triangles. If you want to specify a triangle, you need to give me 3 numbers. I don't care what 3 numbers. You can give me 2 sides and an angle, or 2 angles and a side. I guess I don't want 3 angles, because the angles add up to 180, so, 2 angles give you the third angle. But almost any other 3 numbers will work. Like, for example, if you tell me that this is, I need to make up some numbers now. 4, 2, 5, or something. That uniquely specifies a triangle, right? Triangles are specified by 3 numbers. And if I want to build a trapezoid out of it, well, for the bottom half, all I have to do is tell you, like, one of the sides, right? Because then similarity will let you work everything out. If I tell you this side is length 50, picture very much not to scale, because that's how we do things here. Well, that tells you the rest of the lengths. This one is 40, 20. So, let me write this out. So the top triangle given by 3 numbers, and then 1 more for the bottom. So what that means is, if you imagine you try to set this up in like whatever variable system you want, you have 4 variables. That's the first big idea. You have 4 variables, and it doesn't matter which variables you use for this, because right now, as I said, there's lots of different other variables you could use. You can maybe give me like 2 sides, an angle, and the ratio of similarity, or maybe you give like 1 length and then you give all the other angles, or I don't know. Actually, that might be kind of stupid. No, don't do that. But like, you will find that no matter how you set it up, the number of variables you have always needs to be at least 4. If you have less than 4 numbers, that's not enough information to build a trapezoid. Yeah, you could also be given the 4 side lengths. I guess that works really well. Yeah. Trapezoids are determined by 4 side lengths. Okay, today I learned something new. SSSS is true for trapezoids. Let's go! Okay. However, in the problem, there are 2 equations. And equations is with quotes a little bit because, you don't know which things, but you can imagine if someone told you, like, AC should be these 2 side lengths added together, BD should be these 2 side lengths added together, it would be 2 equations, right? Like, you have 2 conditions. So, if you have learned anything from algebra class, it's that if you have 4 variables and 2 equations, then not only had there better be solutions, there probably are a lot of them. Like, you shouldn't have to try very hard to get 2 equations to work if you have 4 variables and they can be real numbers. I better say now, if you're doing a number theory problem, that is not true, okay? Like, you can very easily write down, 1 equation with like 7 variables, and if you want to solve it over the integers, it's still a royal pain. But these are not integers, these are real numbers. And if you have 4 variables, 2 equations of real numbers, unless those equations are designed to be really awful in some way, like for example, the equation, what's a stupid example? A squared plus b squared plus c squared plus d squared plus e squared plus 1 equals 0 has 5 variables in 1 equation, but doesn't have solutions for very obvious reasons. But the equations we have here don't look that contrived. They're just like, well, I should just be able to do it, right? Like, there's nothing to stop me. So normally Olympiad problems, you can't just run them over, but you look at this and you're like, who are you kidding? Like, what? You have 4 variables and 2 equations. I can just run this over, right? Like, no. So that's exactly what we're going to do. And because we have so much more freedom than there are things to do, yeah, it's like being told, like, your goal from today is to get from maybe not today. Today's a bit of a stretch, but your goal for this month is to get from, I don't know, get from New York to Washington D.C. and we're going to give you like $20,000 plus a full week to do this however you want. And you're just like, heck, I could like make a pit stop to California and grab some burgers and still make it in time. Kind of vibes. So we're just going to be really, really deliberate about this, alright? What I'm going to do is I'm going to make an isosceles triangle here. And I'm going to make another isosceles triangle here that's like exactly the same angles. So the reason I'm doing this is to kill off a bunch of the conditions all at once. So if I do this, then I'll give you point names now. A, B, C, D. Then BD is equal to AB plus CD by definition. Because AB is red, CD is green, and BD is red plus green. Second, because the triangles are similar, AB is also parallel to CD. So it is actually a trapezoid. And, okay, that's great. And now all I need to do is make sure that, like, let's say, I don't really care. Let's just pick one of the lengths. Let's use this one. I want, like, AB plus CD to equal AD. That's the only thing I need to do, and I have a few parameters to do this. Because right now I haven't, I still have like 3 numbers, right? If I tell you the red length, the green length, and the angle, for example, that will work. So I have 1 equation left and 3 numbers. So this really should be doable. All I need to do is figure out a red length, a green length, and a valid angle, and I should be good to go. Okay. So, I don't know. Anyone want to pick some numbers? 665. You need to tell me what that. Okay, someone said 187. Well, okay. So when I say pick some numbers, you have to actually tell me what the numbers mean, because it, like, there's a lot of ways to parameterize this. 1, 4, 3, 4. No, that's 4 numbers. Okay, we're gonna go with 665. As I'm gonna assume that means this 665 here. That I'm not sure if that's what you meant, but we'll go with it. Okay, so that means I have 1 number left to pick, right? 6R, 5R, 6R. I'm gonna call it R, which is the scaling of the similarity. And all I need to do is... Am I lucky enough that there's a good value of R that I can pick, such that, blue equals red plus green? And we now have 1 number and 1 equation. So, hopefully, it's not certain, but there's no reason right now to expect that it should definitely fail. So, okay, well, here's the equation. Let's just write it. So, in fact, I really should color code this equation just so it's clear what's going on. So this is AB, I'm going to put it in red, and this is CD, I'm going to put it in green. So this is 6, this is 5R, and then, oh god, anyone good at math counts type calculations want to compute AD for me? I promise it shouldn't be hard, I just don't want to do it. So I'm supposed to cut this in half, right? Because it's an isosceles triangle. Crap. Okay. So the length of the altitude is... Wait, oh, did I screw up? Hang on, what do I want? Sorry, I meant AC. Yeah, AC. This should be AC. BD is the one we took care of. AC is the one we need to do. Okay. Oh, wait, now I'm confused. So BD is taken care of. AC is the one we want. I wrote AB plus CD. That's not what I want. That's BD. Sorry. This is how you know you're getting old. Sorry, this is blue as well. Okay, so AC is the red plus green, so we'll just write that. Well, the other red and the other green, I guess. Okay, and then here's AD. Okay, so AD, oh god. So, by the Pythagorean theorem, this part is 5 plus 5 halves r squared. And also by the Pythagorean theorem, the square of the altitude is like 6r squared minus 5 halves r all squared. Crap, the square root is not big enough. Ah, there you go. Much better. 5 halves r squared. Yeah, okay, cool. So anyways, you should know how, y'all probably know how to solve this if you're listening to this talk, because CD is 6r. Did I mess up? No, okay. Okay, because what you do is like, you know, junk. 5r minus 1 squared equals, you know, square root of... Y'all know how to do this, right? I don't need to explain how to solve quadratics? Good. So we're gonna instead do the really intelligent strategy of wolframalpha.com. If I can know how to type the URL. Da-da-da. Okay, so the thing it wanted was 6 plus root 5 plus 5 halves r squared plus 6r squared minus 5 halves r squared equals 5 plus 5r. Wait, is r negative? Are you serious? Oh, come on. Really? Very sad. Okay, back to the drawing board. Why AB plus AD equals AC? Yeah, I just picked it at random. We can try the other one. We can try BC instead and see if that's any better. Let's do that. AB... No, I can't do AB plus BC equals AC because that violates the triangle inequality. I would want like BD equals... Alright, we're going to try another one. We're just going to try them all, and if not really none of them work, I'll pick some different numbers. But, you know, it's one equation and one variable, so I have faith. CD is here. BC is this one. Okay, so same situation. AC is equal to 5 plus 5r. BC is, oh god. Crap. CD is... Shit, not red. And B is like, BC is... Okay, so the length of that altitude is whatever 6 squared minus 5 half squared is. Wait, shit, no second square. And then the other one is... Okay, so let me try plugging that into Wolfram Alpha. 6 squared minus 2.5 squared plus... No, I said there's no square here. I keep putting a square there. 5r plus 2.5. Alright. Are they... Is it negative again? Seriously? Huh. Okay, we have one more thing we can try, which is I want to try what happens if instead of CD here, I put just the red 6. Yeah, Okay, so why is this not working? I'm actually surprised. So, if... Let's go back to the equations. If I'm looking at this, then for these things to never match... AD plus BC? I could do AD plus BC. There's 2 square roots, which is really annoying, but I guess I can try it. Let's try it. Why not? Yeah, I think I picked numbers that weren't great because, like, I think AC is being too small. I think AC is just too short. Like, no matter what value of R you pick, AC is actually too small compared to the other things. Okay, yeah. So instead of 665, what if I pick like 66? Okay, the suggestion in chat is 668. Okay, yeah, let's make AC bigger. Ta-da! Alright. And this has the advantage I don't have to write 2.5 everywhere, because holy crap, that was annoying. So we kept running into this problem where AC was too short. Let's make AC fatter. And let's go back to... No, let's use BC plus... Do I want red? Well, I'll just pick one. Let's do red. 6. Okay, so AC is now 8 plus 8R. And then this is now 20. So this guy here is root 20. And then the other part is 8R plus 4 squared. Is this still 2? So if I let R be like huge, which side is bigger? I feel like this isn't great because if R is huge, I think I liked AD better than BC. Let's try that. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought this was gonna just work. And apparently the left-hand side is just always too big. If the left-hand side is always too big, I definitely want AD. Because if you imagine R is really huge, you know, BC will be a lot longer than AD, right? Okay, so here's the new AD. 20R squared plus 4R plus 8 squared. Okay, and if I did not screw up, this works. Wolfram Alpha says R equals 15 over 7. Okay. I don't care what the number is, I just care it exists. So... yeah... we did it. That was way harder than... I was just like, there's one equation, there's like 3 numbers and 1 equation. Like, how can we not get this? But okay. Yeah, that took a little longer than I thought it would. Oh god. In hindsight, like, so, because the thing is, if you take R equals 0, it's, which side is bigger? It's definitely, AC is just bigger, right? Or actually, yeah. The left-hand side's bigger when R equals 0, because everything collapses. So what you want is to make sure that on the other extreme, if R is big, then AC is longer. So when we pick the numbers, like 6, 6, 10 would have been actually even better, I think. Like you just want AC to be longer. And also you want to pick AD and not BC, because AD is, if you imagine C is really far away, AD only takes half the distance to C, BC takes the whole distance. Or something, yeah. So now you know why real equations sometimes don't have solutions, which is you have size obstructions. So as long as there are no size obstructions, we should have been okay. Alright. Okay, I apparently have 15 minutes, which means I've... See, the problem is okay, we'll try to speedrun the Putnam problem, okay? I don't think it's gonna work. I can probably do half the Putnam problem, and that's about it. The other... I almost want to do the... What was the other one I had prepared? Oh, no, there's no way I can do that one in 10 minutes, never mind. Okay, well, we'll do this one first. Okay, so this will look a little more like the first example, where I probably, because it's find all, I don't even know what I'm trying to do yet, other than try to look for some examples. So, in this problem, you have n different numbers in a circle, and any 3 consecutive numbers are an arithmetic progression in some order, and the question is, what n can you do this for? So, because it's an arithmetic progression, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift and scale the numbers so that the first 2 numbers are 0 and 1. And this is okay because if I shift, shifting doesn't break arithmetic progressions, neither does scaling. So 0 and 1. And then that begs the question like, well, if this is 0 and that's 1, what's this guy? And there's 3 different things it can be. It can be like 2. It can be -1, and it can be 1/2, I guess. Those are the things. And then same thing here. This number, there's 3 different options. So what you find right away is that as soon as you pick 2 numbers, and it doesn't matter what numbers you pick for the first 2, because it's just the same as shifting and scaling. After that, the rest of the numbers, every time you look at it, you have like 3 choices. And I'm looking at this, and I don't think this works. Oh, there's nothing I can pick that will, yeah, that's not gonna fly. So you can check all 9 of them. I don't think any of them are good. Is that true? Yeah, I don't think any of these are good. Okay, so n equals 4 is not working. And n equals 5, thankfully, it's actually really easy to draw the new example because you just add 1 extra spoke. Okay, so, oh god, there are cases. Oh, of course there are cases. Oh no. Okay, I'm gonna change this a little bit. So instead of drawing it in a circle, which is like taking up my entire board space, and unfortunately I only have 1 iPad, so rip me. Instead, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna imagine it as a line, what I should say is tree. So it's like imagine you have 0, 1, and then after that there's 3 choices, right? Those are the 3 numbers we had before. You can either go down, go up, or go in between. And then from each of these things, each of these splits into 3 choices as well. So, you can go down. I can go down. I can go up. and I can go in between. And then here I can go in. Here's in between. This is down. This is up. Yeah. So to say explicitly what I mean by down and up, if I have two numbers A and B, then there's the next number can be either this one here, 2B minus A. This is what I mean when I say I'm going up. It can be this one here. This is like 2A minus B. This is going down. Or it can be the thing in between. This is A plus B over 2. So this is in between. Okay, so yeah, that's that. And in this sense, I don't even have to really pay attention to the other end, because what happens is this tree just keeps going to the right. And what the question is really saying is, when do you get back to 0? Like, when do you see a 0 again? So let me keep building the tree. Okay, here's down, here's in between, here's up, and then here's our zeros, right? 0, 0, 0. So technically n equals 3 is kind of a stupid, but it's like, okay, I got 3's here, but when you got to 4, we already know that we're not going to get anything. What we're going to get is, oh god, I might not be able to keep drawing the tree for very long for obvious reasons. -5, -2, in between in +1. This is -2, +1, -1/2. I'm not gonna draw this one or this one or this one because they're the same. 3 I want to draw. 3 is like, okay. Okay, so down is -5. 3 up is here, and then in between is +1. Okay. So you could imagine you keep drawing this tree for a really long time, and it's like, oh jeez. What's going on? Wait, I actually don't know what's going on anymore. What am I expecting to see? There's no zeros that I see yet. That's what I was hoping for. It's like, but sorry. We know there were no zeros for 4. We didn't finish up 5. It's like, do I expect to see a 0? I think the answer is no. Because now that I'm writing this tree, I can take 7 and, well, let's draw the thing after 7 just for kicks. -1, 5, 11. So this is the point where I do actually need an insight. So first of all, I was telling you earlier that this looks like it's an algebra problem, but I'm not getting random real numbers, right? Like, these things are actually pretty good rational numbers. Like, they're not random junk real numbers. They're all rational. Not only are they rational, the only denominators I'm ever going to get, let me draw out this one just for concreteness. Okay, 5 halves, 1, and in between is 7 quarters. The rational numbers whose denominator is a power of 2. Yeah. So so far we've made 2 observations. Observation 1, it's basically an infinite ternary tree, and we're looking for where zeros show up in the tree. So the second thing is, now that we've done this, we don't, we sort of have the entire data of the problem laid out in front of us. There's no additional input into the problem. The problem is literally build this tree, tell me where 0 shows up. And so we can look at this tree and try to understand it as well as we can. And that leads to the second observation, these aren't just real numbers. These are integers divided by powers of 2, every single one of them. And if you look at the process that generated them, that's obvious. But we're only thinking to look at this now because we actually wrote out a lot of them are like, hey, these are actually pretty good numbers, These aren't like random garbage numbers like square root 2 or pi. They're pretty well behaved. Anyone else see anything about these numbers? I'll draw one more branch here. This is 1, 4, and in between is 5 halves. Well, so I said the numbers are nice. Some of them are nicer than others, like they're actually integers. So I'm going to go into this grid and I'm going to highlight everything that's actually an integer. So, here's the zeros, and then let's highlight everything that's an integer. Oh, this whole blob is integer. This is integer. This is 1, 1, 7. These are all integers. 1, 1, 4. Some of them repeat. Anyone else notice anything about... do I want more data? Can I even get more data? It's easier to see on the far branches where you keep going up and down. Like, there's branches where there's never powers of 2. Those are the easiest to read. Like, here's -7, -4, -1, and then here's... Wait. 5. More examples. Yeah, what you're starting to see is there's this three behavior. Numerators are differing by 3. For that matter, common. Everything is happening mod 3. Let me be explicit. 1 mod 3. 0 mod 3. 2 mod 3. And I'm writing this right now just for integers, but if you've done modular arithmetic with fractions, you can take fractions mod 3, it's okay. You only run into trouble if you divide by 0. But all our denominators are power of 2, and powers of 2 are not 0 mod 3. So the powers of 2 are okay, it's okay to divide by 2 if you're working mod 3. And so now you can see what's up with these columns, which is that, hey, wait, mod 3, they just go 0, 1, 2. That's what they're doing. So this is the big observation. When you're looking at this, you're like, hey, this, I look at the data, there's this 3 that keeps showing up everywhere. And big observation, the columns of the tree that we drew just go 0 mod 3, 1 mod 3, 2 mod 3, etc. And so, consequently, this is the big kick, because it gives us something. Conclusion, 0 could only ever appear if the nth column, if 3 divides n, where I'm letting this be the 0th column, this is the first column, etc. So this is a proof, this is actually a complete proof that when n is divisible by 3, or if n is not divisible by 3, you're going to die, because when you look at the tree, in the column of the tree, all the entries are n mod 3. You'll never find zeros. And that leaves the other half of the problem, which is, well, can you find 0? Like, is there a 0 that shows up? And the truth is, it's even actually a little more complicated than that. Because, I will tell you right now, 0 shows up very often, because what you could do is in the tree, there's a path that goes, it's very boring. It goes 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. That's a path in the tree. Which would be great until you notice that the problem requires that all the numbers in this circle be different. And then you're very sad. So the question's actually even worse than this. It's like, can you find a 0 in the tree such that the path to that 0 doesn't repeat any numbers? And unfortunately, at this point, I have like 90 seconds left in this talk, and so We've decided to extend the session until 9:30 so you can get through the problems you want to share. I was really hoping I didn't have to do this construction, actually. Okay, how about this? I'll put the construction up, and then if people wanted more math, I can... What was the last one I had? That one's gonna be tough, but I might be able to pull it off. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. So I will just put the construction out here just so you can see it. It's not easy to find, and it would be pretty distracting, I think, if I tried to make it into a story the way I did with the previous constructions, because it's a lot more fudged. So in this case, I'm just going to show what it looks like just so you can like see what the example is. It basically looks like this. It is an example with all integers, and what you do is, starting from the number 0, 1, and 2 is here, I guess, you build odd numbers going upwards up until some point, and then after that point, what you do is you like try to wiggle for a while until you manage to get oh shit, this picture's wrong. Those aren't supposed to be black. Hang on. No. Okay, one moment. We're gonna fix that. Fuck. Business as usual. Okay, then what you do is you have to like wiggle for a bit until you get into a situation where your numbers are all multiples of 4. And once they're multiples of 4, you can just start walking downwards again. So there's a red part, a boxed part where you have to like... The boxed part is pretty ugly, that's why I didn't really want to do it on the stream, is because you need to like... You need to fight it. You need to like kind of hack it until it does exactly what you want, and it's like not pretty to specify. It's not like the zigzag from earlier, which was like really clean to describe. This is just like, you know, it's like pulling teeth. You know, you wiggle, you have to keep wiggling it until you finally yank it out, and it like is really painful. That's what this black part here is. And once you get to 32 and 28, then you can keep going back down, and that part is fine. I will actually... can I increase the font size on this? I feel like this figure is really small. Nope, that's too big, too big. Ah! Revert! Revert! Wow, this is really not doing what I wanted. Hello? Is it compiling? Why'd you throw an error? Oh, I forgot a semicolon. Oh, it happens. Okay. Okay, yeah, this might be a little more visible in the small board, but that's that. Okay, alright, so Chris, when you say I have until 9:30, do you mean 9:30 for problems, or 9:30 is like after Q&A?
9:30 after Q&A.
Okay, so I can maybe... Okay, that's fine. Okay, so I will quickly pause here to take any questions about this problem, or I guess the last problem, because I didn't pause for that problem either. And then we'll go on to try to do one more. Okay. For Chris, how long should I budget for QA?
I think around 30 minutes.
Okay,
would be-
cool. Alright, let's see. Alright, let's do this one. Alright, so I actually did this problem for the first time yesterday. So for those of you that don't know, on Friday nights, starting from, I guess I'm advertising, okay, why not? On Friday nights at 8 starting from 8 p.m. Eastern, I solve math problems on Twitch that people give me that I haven't seen before, which is, mostly a source of comedic entertainment, because you get to watch me, stumble around and run into walls, and so on and so forth. But this was the problem. This is one of the problems that I got yesterday, and it took freaking forever. But I got it eventually. So now we can tell the story of that. But if you want to watch, the original version where I don't know what I'm doing instead of pretending that I'm really smart, check my YouTube channel in a few days. It should be up by then. Okay, so this is the version where I pretend that I know exactly what's happening because I did it yesterday. Alright, I'm gonna need space again. So one of the things Olympiad problems is, and this is true for a lot of things in general, there's a set of things that people are expected to know. For example, if you do Euclidean geometry in a math competition context, you're just supposed to know what a cyclic quad is. You're supposed to know what a homothenate is. If you don't know these things, then you should learn them before you start trying to seriously solve problems. And that's fine and all, because you need if you want to make art, which is what these problems are, your audience has to have seen something before. And what you do is you take the things they've seen before and you try to push these expectations a little bit. That's how you make a good problem. And this is okay, let me just show you what's going on. So in this problem there's this 10 by 10 grid. And what you do is you color some of the cells blue, and a set of cells is bad if it looks like this. Either this or its rotation is considered not good. So that's bad. Or officially the word they used is gremista, but I have no idea what that word means. I tried to look it up and I couldn't figure out why they picked that word because I got results that were not in English. So we're just gonna use the word bad because it's shorter, okay? And the question is, how many blue cells can you squeeze into a bad grid before, or how many blue cells can you squeeze into the grid without causing anything bad to happen? That's what the problem is asking. So, again, like I said, this is automatically a two-part problem, because there's two things we need to do. One is that, if I think the answer is A or something, well, I need to show, there is an example with A cells such that, well, A blue cells and no badness. And also I need to prove that if there are more than A blue cells, then it's always bad. So I will now recount the story of what happened yesterday. Which is, the first step is actually one that is very common, which is that assume no badness. If there's nothing bad happening, then what that means is every time I look at, oh shit, 30 rows or columns. I'm gonna rotate this picture just for the explanation later so I don't confuse myself. So both the picture and the rotation are bad, so this doesn't change anything. If I have a grid with nothing bad in it, then every time I look at a column, there's some blue cells in it, alright? And there's like certain pairs of blue cells, let's say like here and here. So, if there's no badness, what that tells me is that I shouldn't see green arrows like this in more than 2 columns. So, you know, if I have another column and they have the same green arrows, yeah, that's just stupid. I'll just leave it like that. You know, if I have this is still okay, right? You know, because that's only 2. But as soon as I add a third one, so if third column with same 2 green arrows, then you die. Oh crap, I got cut off. And so, you might remember sort of like, in the first problem we did this thing where we're like, okay, well, that tells us what like our total should look like, in the sense that we need the total length of the entire journey. You can do something very similar here, where you say, okay, let's let A1 through A10 is the number of blue cells in column I. Okay, and what we can do is we can say, hey, for each of these columns, you know how many pairs of green arrows it generates. For example, in this column here, if let's say this column was A5, alright? Then, because there's 4 blue squares, there's 6 different pairs of green arrows. 4 choose 2 equals 6. Pairs of green arrows. And so what I can do is I can compute the sum across the entire thing. So 1 to 10 of AI choose 2 is the total number of pairs of green arrows. I equals 1. That I generate. On the other hand, what I know is that any pair of green arrows should appear at most 2 times, right? That's because if you have a third one, you die. Not good. So we also know that this thing should be bounded above by 2 times 10 choose 2. Because there's 10 choose 2 different possible places green arrows can spawn. For every pair, like say for example the first column and the third column, that pair should appear at most 2 times. So I get a bound that looks like this. And 2 times 10 choose 2, was 2 times 10 choose 2? It's like how 90, I think. 90. Okay, so I want to quickly pause here for questions because if you're seeing this happen for the first time, it is a lot to take in. The reason I can do this quickly is because this argument that I've just written down is like really, really standard. If you do enough Olympiad problems, you will see this over and over, where you count something in two different ways and it gives you an equation. For those of you that have taken Otis global, that's the word that I use for this. Okay, so does anyone have any questions about how I got this blue equation where I said the sum of a I choose 2 should be up to 90? Okay, great. Cool. Okay, so this part is standard, and now it's like, okay, if I have this equation, what does it tell me about the AIs? And well, what you can do if you play around for a while, you will find that, well, how do I want to phrase this? You'll find out very quickly that you want the AIs to be close together. Like, suppose you wanted to construct... Suppose you were looking for an example with a equals 40. You would very much want your left-hand side to be like 4 choose 2 plus 4 choose 2, like 10 times. Or let me do 42 actually, just because it's a little less even. What you will find is that, you know, what you could have is you could have 8 copies of 4 choose 2 and 2 copies of 5 choose 2. This number is equal to something. 58. Which is much less than 90, and that's great. You could also imagine you were trying to go for... what you do not want to do is you don't want to spread the numbers apart. That's the main thing I want to say. Like, instead of 2 times 5 choose 2, you know, 3 and 7 also have the same sum as 5 plus 5. But this one is much worse, because this is equal to 20. And this is equal to, like, 27. And in general, like, because choose 2 looks like x squared, you really don't want big numbers. Like, it doesn't matter if you have a lot of small numbers, that's okay. But if you have, like, a small number and a really big number, you're going to die really fast. Because we are trying to keep everything small. So for a equals 42, you will find that this is the best example in the sense that it makes the sum of the choose 2's. Oh crap, I did not plan that well. Let me write that underneath. Yeah, so the moral of the story is that you want to keep close together because you don't want any big numbers at all. It's like you want to avoid the big numbers at all costs. So for a equals 42, this is the best you can do. And then you're like, okay, well, let's keep pushing it up, right? So what you find is that when a equals 47, what happens then? It's like 7 times 5 choose 2, 3 times 4 choose 2. This is again the best one. Is 88. And for a equals 47, that's the only way to stay under 90. if you try to move any of the weight around at all, if you get one more 5, you're going to die, is what I'm trying to say. And as soon as a equals 48, there is no way to stay under 90. Whereas here, this is the only way. Under 90. Cool. So what we have now is we have a proof that if A is greater than or equal to 48, if more than 40, if 48 or more cells, you die. Always bad happens. That's such bad grammar. Always bad happens. And so we're like, great. Can we find an example for A equals 47? And if you were here yesterday when I tried to construct an example for A equals 47, it did not go very well. Mostly because it doesn't exist. So I will, because I have like not too many minutes left, I will not show you the, well, I was going to say I'm not going to show you the example for A equals 47, but I already gave away there isn't one. I'll just say I was able to eventually get 46, but I just could not for the life of me get 47. And I was looking at this being like, dang it, I'm off by 1 again. It's like, no, come on. Like, one more. And I remember looking at my example and saying, you know what? I don't have any way to prove this, but I have lots of faith in my example. This example feels really good. I don't believe you can do better. I just don't believe it. And so that means that even though I have this stuff written here where I've shown that 48 is bad, I'm not done with this half yet. I actually have to push it down by 1 more in order to solve the problem. So the situation became, in the 2 directions, from the bottom, I did eventually find an example with 46 blue cells. And in order to solve the problem, I need to push down the 48 by 1 more and show that there's no examples with 47. And so I want to show you something that I really like about these Olympiad problems, which is that they push what you know, they take what you already are expected to know, because anyone that's doing Brazil's National Olympiad Problem 6 had better have seen this blue equation up here before. If you haven't seen this equation before, I'm sorry, you're not going to get this in the 4.5 hour time limit. Actually, that's not true. I'm sure some people would still get it. But it will be a lot harder. But it's not enough. It got me pretty close, but I need to push it just a little bit more. And so I was looking at this and I was like, okay. I did the standard thing. It's almost there. It's not quite good enough. How can I like try to make it like a tiny bit better? And here's the answer. The answer is that, as I said, as you get more and more mature, the answer stops mattering as much. It's like the properties, whatever that means, that starts mattering. You know, in the first problem I told you, you know, because the answer happened to be n even, you could get away with literally like doing n through 2 up to n through 9, and then being like, oh look, 2, 4, 6, 8 work and 3, 5, 7, 9 work. Don't work. I wonder what the answer is. The higher up you go, the worse off that starts becoming, and the more important it is to like not only know like that, not only know the what, that 2, 4, 6, 8 are good and 3, 5, 7, and 9 are bad, but also the like why and how behind like those yes and no answers. The same thing is going to happen here. If you only pay attention to these numbers, you're not going to finish the problem. Like you know, it's not, the numbers aren't going to change. It's like 47 is possible, 48 is not possible. But the key point to solving the problem is over here. It's the part that says only way to stay under 90. It's like, not only did I show 47 was, not only did I get this number 47, I also can tell you exactly how to get, like, the only way that 47 actually occurs is this combination here. So, to that end, let's assume for contradiction there's a 47 cell example. If there's a 47 cell example, then what I know is that there's going to be 3 columns that have 4 blue cells each. And there's going to be 7 columns that have 5 blue cells each. And I was looking at this and I was like, that 5 is really big. Like, there's a lot of blue stuff here. Like, it's like half blue is what's happening. And this might be good enough. So, it worked once. We're going to try the same thing again, but we're going to do it the other way. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let B1, B2, up to B10 be the number of blue cells in the ith row, but only in these 7 columns. So we're gonna throw away this part of the grid entirely. We're not gonna look at this at all. Let me actually, yeah, we'll write throw away or whatever. And I'm just gonna look at the blue cells that are on these things. And the same thing is true. You know, maybe I should have used red instead of green. That's okay, we'll do red arrows, it's okay. For every BI, I get pairs of red arrows. Wait, what happened to my stream? Okay, there we go. And they should appear at most 3 times. So if you do the exact same thing that we did at the start with counting red arrows instead of green arrows, the number of red arrows has to be at most 2 times 7 choose 2. On the other hand, the sum of the BI choose 2s gives that thing. So now from 1 to 10, the sum of the BIs should be at most 2 times 7 choose 2, which is 42. On the other hand, we also know this time that there are exactly 35 blue cells in this region, because it's 7 columns of 5 each. And so, now we're going to look at this, and this time, it's not going to happen. Because if you look at 5 times 3 choose 2, even if we distribute the numbers as evenly as possible, this number is equal to 45, which is bigger than 42. So so contradiction. So this is even in the most equal case. Crap. Scroll over just a little bit. And so that's how you push down the bound by 1. And this is what a lot of Olympiad problems are going to force you to do. Like, you will have a standard tool you've seen before, and sometimes you get lucky and it works outright. You know, on the first problem, we were like, okay, let's just add everything up, and then it outright killed off all the odd end that we wanted. And it's that's sort of the reason why it's a problem 1, because the standard thing does actually basically do what you want it to do. Whereas this is a Brazil 6, and the reason it's a 6 is because the standard thing does not solve the problem by itself. You need to take that thing, and in this case what we did was we had to cut off half the grid, flip it over, and then do the standard thing again. And then you get down from 48 to 47. And that's just how math Olympiads are, you know. The standard thing isn't supposed to just kill the problem, sorry. Alright, so I think it's almost exactly 9 Eastern now, so that concludes the math portion of my talk. We're done.
Yep.
Alright. So I will revert to being in a camera now, I think. If I press this button, will that do it? Yeah.